Hello everyone and welcome to Blog Runner Everything and welcome back to the channel and welcome to the first match review of the season. And thank goodness it was a win, a very big and important win for FC Barcelona as Hansi Flick on his competitive managerial debut for FC Barcelona registered a 2-1 victory away at Mestalla. So it wasn't an easy trip, it wasn't an easy day. Certainly, I mean, it could have easily been a draw. It was one of those matches, and shout outs to players like Pau Barça making clutch plays with goal line clearances. So, there's quite a bit to talk about here, and we'll get right into that. Really typical match review fashion this is going to be. So I'll talk about my negatives and my positives before then giving you my pick in as far as the man of the match and of course the manager and the player ratings in between all of that. So if this is your first time watching, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're going to be enjoying what you're seeing. Aside from that, I thank you for joining me, and let's get straight into the negatives, because we always start out with the negatives. And there was a moment, particularly after Valencia opened the scoring, there was a period of about 4 or 5 minutes when Barcelona just looked really shaky. Valencia really looked like they were about to get the second goal. I mean, there was a moment with like Ter Stegen literally just passing the ball straight to a Valencia player on the edge of his own box, which is like, remember what he did last time around against Valencia at, Montjuic, when he literally gifted the ball to Hugo Duro. So you were just like, thinking in the back of your mind, like, is this happening again? Anywho, there was also a bit more chaos that followed after that. But despite all that, Barcelona, were able to go back right before halftime. And I think that was probably a very big and important moment for them in getting back in this match. So my other negative, probably, which I would point out here was, well, it has to be the whole injuries thing, because with FC Barcelona, you just can't go 5, 6, 7 games, apparently even just one game into the season without a player going off with an injury. This time around, it was Alejandro Balde. Now, the silver lining, though, is that it didn't seem like it was a re-injury, of his hamstring, which kept him out from about January up until today, in La Liga terms. But it did still look like a bit of a concerning injury. Maybe he might have a couple of weeks off. It was a contact injury. Thierry Correa did basically just barge into his thigh, the same kind of foul for which Jules Koundé got the yellow card in the second half, but of course Thierry Correa didn't get any yellow card. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff. But let's move on from that and let's talk positives, because there were quite a bit of positives, and I think the first positive has to be the two Marcs in the middle. Yeah, Marc Bernal and Marc Casado. Now, coming into Barcelona's preseason USA tour, there was a lot of buzz about these two guys and how that preseason tour would probably determine their inclusions in the first team plans under Hansi Flick. And well, it's really come to pass that they are the starters here. Now, obviously, part of that has to do with the fact that you don't have Gavi fit, you don't have Frankie de Jong fit either, and Gundogan's got a weird case. Apparently the club is trying to kick him out, which is like probably supposed to be a whole another video. So we'll get around to talking about that Gundogan situation, because I have some words for Joan Laporta. Okay, they're not going to be very kind, but I do have some words. Moving on, though, the next positive after the two Marcs, it has to, of course, be the good form that we're seeing already so early on from Lamine Yamal and Robert Lewandowski. Now, I'm one of those who really, going into this season with just Robert Lewandowski as your undisputed starter, it felt a bit dodgy for me. And we'll still wait to see how all of that plays out. But a positive is a positive, at least in the perspective of this game. He did have good form, so for that, I think we do need to be happy. Same as well for Lamine Yamal, despite all the close attention that he was getting from Jesus Vasquez in particular during that first half, who was honestly putting in some dirty challenges on Lamine Yamal. Okay, we saw you, Jesus Vasquez. You ain't slick. All right, but despite all of that, Lamine Yamal still managing to get that assist. And I mean, it's a shame that all he has to show from this performance was just the assist. But it was the assist that brought Barcelona level as well. So I guess that's definitely a good thing in his books. And I would say my third and final positive has to be, without a doubt, the fitness of the team. I'm sorry, but did you see how going into the last 10 minutes, Barcelona looked like the more athletic and the fitter team? Which is honestly saying something, considering how Baraja trains this team and Valencia, and just how athletic his midfielders in particular are. And it was Barcelona with a certain Marc Casado who just ultimately dominated all of the running. And I have to say, this is testament to Hansi Flick and the work he's been doing with the players' conditioning. I mean, sure, there's still some players like Robert Lewandowski who late on ran out of gas. You could see that he didn't have as much, energy as he had at the beginning. Same as well with Lamine Yamal, which is why he had to be pulled off. There were those players here and there who didn't exactly, keep all of their energy for the entirety of the match. But majority of the team was full of running from the first minute to the last, honestly speaking. And that, honestly, is just like probably the biggest improvement we've seen already from Barcelona under Hansi Flick compared to last season. Because last season, of course, Barca would start matches so strongly and they would dominate the game up until the 60th minute, at which point legs would start getting tired challenges would be put in, passes being misplaced, all of that. But instead, this time around, we're seeing that coming from Valencia, misplacing passes, failing to chase balls. And, it was awesome, honestly. And it's pretty encouraging considering that Gavi isn't even yet part of this, Just imagine when people like Gavi and Fermin bring in their energy as well. So that's something to look forward to. And with players as well like Rafinha and, Dani Olmo still to join this squad, there's quite a lot of potential, especially when it comes to that high press. Though I must admit, so far Hansi Flick football is looking like a high risk, high reward kind of thing, whereby, if it goes wrong, it's going to go very wrong, which is probably the only worry I have coming out of this, because I'm thinking, some of those situations, what if that was a Mbappe or a Vinicius rather than a, Hugo Duro? Yeah, it's, yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from all of that. Let's talk manager ratings, player ratings. We'll start with the players, or rather the team rating, because I don't like doing this individually. I always just prefer to look at the team as a whole, because I don't want to single anybody out particularly. So team rating this time around, I'm going with a solid 7.5 out of 10. It could have been better with, maybe if some of that first half shakiness hadn't happened, this could have easily been an 8 or 8.5 performance. But also, I think I have to say shout out to some of the subs who we saw come on, starting with Gerard Martin, who came on for Alejandro Balde, and basically everything got shut down once he came on. He's pretty good defensively. And also shout out to, Eric Garcia, who he came on, and honestly speaking, he looked great in that double pivot next to Casado. I mean, he did have one bad giveaway, but aside from that, his recoveries are good. His positioning was pretty good and pretty encouraging. And I can see a place for him really in this squad, even with Araujo fit, the whole defense back as it should be. So there's that as well. So we'll go to the manager, and considering how everything went and how Hansi Flick kept his cool and he just directed his team the way that he should have. And of course, like I said, the subs, he made the subs, right? So for me, in this occasion, I'm going to give Hansi Flick a very generous, maybe 8 out of 10 for his managerial debut. But you know what? This is a 9 out of 10. When you think about all of the things he should have had that he doesn't have, including Dani Olmo, including a proper left winger, like he was forced to play Ferran Torres, okay? The less said about that, the better. And I think that only happened because Pedri isn't exactly match fit to start, and Fermin is out and Dani Olmo isn't registered. Anyhow, all of that being said, we have to pick a man of the match, and this time around I think it's pretty obvious. He kind of picked himself, Robert Lewandowski, with the 2 goals to give Barcelona the 3 points. And basically, this is what Barca are going to need from Lewandowski for the whole of this season. Just be that guy who stands up and gets all of the goals. Although I was a bit concerned that he played for 90 minutes. Should have gotten a rest. Pau Victor definitely should have gotten at least 10 minutes playing as the number 9. We saw how good he was in that role. We're just going to be happy with what we saw. And yeah, Robert Lewandowski, man of the match. And aside from that, I think that is basically that, guys. Don't want this to run too long because I have to then edit it and upload it, and it's already midnight where I am. So, a lot of work coming up ahead. But aside from that, I'm very happy with the win from Barca. Let me know your thoughts on Barcelona's performance and on the result. But aside from that, I thank you all for tuning in. Do have a great day, and Forza Barça.